Good evening, my fellow Liberians. Today, I'm pleased, like all of us, that we have put the period of the election behind us and that we have now begun the process of charting the new course for our country. At this time, I want to congratulate the President-elect and the Vice President-elect, Ambassador Joseph Newman Parker and Senator Jeremiah Bankun, for their victory. And I also want to give a special congratulations to the outgoing President, President George Weah. Your decision to concede defeat in the midst of a tight and highly contested election might have saved our country from chaos. History will remember you, and we hope that your example will always serve to guide our democracy in the future. To our incoming president, we want to congratulate you. But most importantly, we want to assure you and your government of our cooperation in the cause of the Liberian people. We do this knowing that your election marks a new beginning in the context of our democracy, a new beginning for our people, for our country, for all of us. It also shows that you have a much bigger challenge as a president. But we believe with your wisdom, you will face that challenge and you will live up to the challenge. The challenge of keeping our country together, keeping our democracy alive. The challenge of appreciating and understanding the decision of the Liberian people. This election has shown more than one thing, but what it is showing is that you come as president with a country that is clearly, deeply divided. Therefore, it is all of us, our moral obligation to support you, to support your agenda, and to understand and appreciate that you have received the mandate of the Liberian people. And therefore, with that mandate, it becomes the obligation of all of us elected to support you and stand with you. Along with that mandate came another mandate, which was the result of the election shows that the Liberian people have chosen you, Mr. President, and the United Party Alliance as the party and the president to lead us into the future. But it has also shown that the Liberian people chose a legislature clearly intended to keep the balance of power alive and to keep the spirit of our democracy alive. That decision shows that the makeup of the current legislation is intended to keep our democracy stable and to ensure that the division that has been shown in the outcome of the election will be used by the leaders to build our country based on consensus, negotiation, and understanding that Liberia is first. After weeks of consultation with my colleagues, 20 of my colleagues have come together to ask me to contest the speakership of the House of Representatives. I've consulted my people from District 7 in Nimba County. I've consulted the people of Nimba County. I've consulted the leadership of the CPP. I've consulted the Ability Movement that elected me. And I've also consulted my family, most importantly. And after this consultation, and after listening to my colleagues, I have graciously accepted their call for me to contest the speakership of the 55th legislature. I do so knowing that the Liberian people were very clear that they did not approve the actions and the decisions of those before us. That is why 48 of them were rejected by the Liberian people. That 48 sends a signal to the Liberian people that the incoming legislators have been given sufficient mandate to change the way the legislature is run and to change public perception of legislative leadership. I've reviewed for some time now the function of the legislature. I've taken my time, appreciated that at the lower house, it is time to change how the lower house is governed. As at today, the speaker carries all of the authority vested in the management of the lower house. Under my administration, we will change the rules as required by the Constitution to ensure that the leadership of the Liberian House of Representatives is democratic, consultative, and is no longer a one-man leadership. We will ensure for the election of the full leadership of the entire House, and we will also ensure accountability, transparency of our decision-making process. The legislator and the legislature are not meant to create obstacle for the executive. It is meant to provide support and guidance. Under our leadership, we will do that. We'll work with the president, knowing that he has been chosen to represent this country, to lead this country as the head of state of our country. And therefore, we will work with his mission and his vision to make sure that the interest of our country is kept alive, to make sure that the legislature function as per the Constitution, to oversee the function of the executive and other branches and the legislative and judiciary, to also ensure that the dignity of the legislature is restored and that the capital building becomes a place of lawmaking, not a place of loitering. And the lawmakers will be respected, but knowing fully well that respect is something that you have to have for yourself before you can expect it from somebody. We will dignify the House. We will work with our partner, local and international, to ensure that every decision of the legislature is transparent and is known to the Liberian people. We will ensure that the budget is felt throughout the 73 districts in Liberia. And the people of Liberia will have connection with the national budget. We'll work with the president to achieve his agenda, at the same time to ensure that those that he will appoint to execute his duty, his mission, and his vision are doing so in accordance with our constitution and in accordance with our law. I work with my colleagues to ensure that we reform our constitution. Top on my agenda will be a reduction in the tenure of the legislature and the presidency. Also, we have come close to calamity from our election because our election laws are bad. We work with our colleagues to reform our election law, to make sure that we have laws that are modern and at the same time that reflect modern day decision-making process. We work with our partners to make sure that Liberia is once again counted. The legislature is not a police entity moving from door to door, knocking at ministries and agencies door. Its responsibility is to provide oversight and to call on government officials where necessary to account for their work. We'll make sure that this happens. At this time, we want everyone, both in the executive and everywhere else, to allow us, legislators, to make a decision to choose our leaders. The Liberian people are very clear. They have decided that the president will lead the country and that the legislature is diverse and that diversity must be reflected in the leadership he has. We will also try to have an inclusive leadership that will allow us to involve everybody as part of our agenda. We will ensure that there will be transparency and accountability. We will build cross-party alliances, which will make sure that every political party and independent group within the legislature are incorporated in the decision-making process. We will engage the media and civil society. Without them, you do not have a lawful society. To discourage a lawless society, we will ensure that the civil society and the media play their role and we will provide them the support that they need to have. We will encourage professional development and we will ensure that the international community supports our country. Our budget will reflect the views and aspirations of our people, and that as Speaker of the 55th Legislature, you will have a new legislature, you will have a new leadership, and you will have a new country where the legislature will no longer be seen as a place where no more respect is given to the body. Today, I announce my decision to stand for the speakership position, having studied and appreciated the fact that we have the number to win this election. We've evaluated our position, we've spoken to our colleagues, we have taken into consideration their views and aspirations, and we are confident that comes January 15, we will be the leader of the 55th Legislature. Thank you, and God bless Liberia.